Hey guys, just a little bit of a preface. This video was from a live stream that I did on how to make a flat blade, so please enjoy. While we're waiting for a few people, as this will be put on the page after I'm done, I'm going to be showing you guys how to make a ultralight flat blade. Now if I repeat myself, I do apologize. I'm sure some people will be asking questions when they come on. But there's a couple different ways to make a flat blade. The way I do it, it's the flawed method, which I actually have a decent example. This is a fairly recently broken pole arm that I kind of want to do a square design on it, and how I normally do this on a flat is you can kind of see, but there's 5 layers, one being where the core would sit, and if you were to do the improved method, you would build it to be about like this, and then run it through a bandsaw, widthwise, to get the size that you would want. Well, you build it out thicker, so that you would have the thin part, the thin striking surface on the laminated side, as opposed to this side, which has all the cracks in on it. There really isn't much of a difference in weight between the two methods. I just find that I don't have a bandsaw, so that's pretty much the reason why I don't do it that way. Though you do get more life out of it. Though this is a quick and dirty method to getting a real lightweight, fast sword. Usually I can get about anywhere between 6 to 9 months, sometimes even more. I had one that went about a year and a quarter, so that was pretty good. So let's show you the stuff we'll be working with. I really like Super 77. Nothing against DAP. I just don't like painting it on. I'd much rather spray it. Super 77. It's all around, in my opinion, great. It hasn't failed on me yet. You're more than welcome to change my mind on that one. Again, nothing wrong with DAP. I just personally don't like the idea of, painting it on there. Cat's being a butt. Come on out. Come on. Come on. You want it out. Apologize. So, let's get into it. So, first things first, let's see. I had already pre-cut my my strips. You need 3 of them. And how this will work is they will all stack on top of each other. With the core being in the middle. Now you don't want to just throw it in there, glue it and tape it. There's a little bit more to it. So whenever I measure this out, I always go a little bit thicker than 2.5. I believe that's 2 9/16 is what I cut this at. Let's see if you guys can see it there. Ooh, where's my camera? There it is. Yeah. And whenever I cut these, I'll usually start with a full sheet and bust out my big square. Nice little guide. Put that on there. Take my razor knife and just cut it so they're all nice and uniform. So, I already got them all cut for you guys, so you don't have to watch that boring part. So what I will do is I usually like to have about 1.5 inches off the stabbing tip. So, the foam that I use, it's roughly 1/2 inch. It's just a bit under. Let's see if you can see that. It's real close. Real close. So I round up, call it 1/2 inch. Maybe not the most proper way to do it. But what I'll do is I will, from the end, draw myself a 1/2 inch line, going all the way across. Get out of here. Cat, sorry. Let's see. So, measure out half of that. So of course 2.5 divided by 2 is 3/4. Sorry, 1.25 inches. Did I really screw that up? I really screwed that up live? I think I did. Yeah, 1.25 inches. It's been a long day, guys. I apologize again. So, I'll mark my middle point. I'll actually take my golf shaft and lay it on there. So I got it approximately in the middle. Let's see. That looks fairly close. So I'm going to do, from here on, I'm going to draw myself a fun little line. Do the same on the other side. I'm only going up to that line, that very first line. See, it's a little bit off, but that's okay because it doesn't have to be exactly in the center. I suppose if you're real particular, you can. So from here on, you can either free cut it, or you can use again your straight edge. I'm just going to cut it free. By the way, for those of you interested, I am drinking Bullet Rye. It is very good. One of my favorite rye whiskeys. If you haven't tried it, I definitely suggest that you do so. Just run her all the way down. Do that on both sides. Now what you're doing here is you're giving the core a nice little area to sit. And like I said before, this is this method, not the best. It is the flawed method. I'll show you why here in a second. We got our cutout. Throw that away. We will take our core and it'll sit right in there. Now, the reason why it's flawed is when you strike, this will be your striking surface right here. Every time you hit, that core is going to, shift a little bit and want to move out and potentially come through. Now, there's a way that I combat that. Now, I use the Duck brand tape. Cheap, easy, and it's predictable. The best tape to use, because what a lot of people don't know is a lot of these packaging tapes, they're actually very acidic. So over time, they can actually degrade your phone. Some of the best stuff that you can use, and I hate to be shouting out Gorg. Everyone who knows me, knows how I am. This is a Gorg weapon, and he used the, let's flip that around, the DuPont, what was that, Tyvek? I think that's how it's pronounced. I've never actually pronounced it out loud, strangely enough. But it's non-acidic. It's fairly neutral. It's not going to cut. It's not going to rip or eat away at your phone. And this is actually a fairly old weapon of his that a friend of mine gave to me to rebuild. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. I'm actually glad I didn't because it's a good demonstration on it. So you can see that it ripped off the foam, but it didn't necessarily eat it away. And I should have brought some examples to show you, but unfortunately I didn't. Maybe next time. And yes, bards do use flats. Thank you, Hollywood. I see you there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut a small strip, just a little bit. And what we're going to do is we're going to put it, well, first of all, we should actually do something about our tip. Getting ahead of myself here. You just cover it in a little bit of tape. One, maybe two. This one's a little jagged. We'll do two on here. And I think this one's going to end up being about 30, 33, 34 inches, I believe. It's a little shorter than I normally do. This one's, truthfully, it's going to be for my son. So I don't care too terribly much about the length. Okay, so we got our piece. We have it laid on there flat. Not really touching anything, just on the one side. What we're going to do is we're going to slide her on. We're going to fold that over. And we're going to do that on both sides. And we're going to do that all the way down. It's a little tedious, but it prolongs the life of it. And I'll probably do about 4 of them and call that good. And you'll alternate each side. So this side is sticking here, the next one will stick over here. Let's do that again. Let's see. Right about here will do us. On my older flats, I would go all the way down. They'd be real tight with each other. You don't necessarily have to do that. If you're worried about if you're really worried about the core coming out, you can do that. But usually, with the glue soaking in here, it usually holds it real nice. So I don't really have to worry about that too terribly much. When we get to the bottom, we'll do something a little bit special, and I'll show you once we get there. Again, alternating all the way down. This is possibly the worst part of making one of these. It's not terrible, so it's all good. Coming a little off over here. Might have to put a little bit more. Get to the last one. Try not to cut my finger off. Let's see. Alright. Give her a little tug, make sure she's nice and snug. Boom, boom. Alright, so we're down at the bottom. We've got it taped up. At the bottom, we'll usually just run one around. If I can, I'll actually split the tape in half. I'm not very good at it, so we'll try it, see how it works. Get on there. Get on there. So, just take it, give it a little split. It's got a little split in there, and you'll just run that all the way down. Guide it if you have to. This one's actually pulling really well. I don't normally do this good at this, so this is a surprise for me. So I'll take it, put it just right there. I don't like doing the full strip because the glue doesn't necessarily hold that well on the backing of the tape itself. So you don't want to do it all the way at the bottom. You want that glue to have something to bite onto. Like I said, it doesn't really bite on the backing of the tape. So the more surface area you have, the better off you are. So, now for the fun part. Super 77 is my favorite. So, I add a lot of glue. It's how I do it. I just add a ton of it. When I can, get nice coverage. I should have put something down. I didn't really have that much foresight. Oh, from the camera. So I'll take my third piece, or my second piece rather, and I will put that on there and just give it a little bit of a push, then flip her over, give her another spray. You want to try and get complete coverage, total coverage. My can's getting close to empty, so it's not going quite the way I want it to. So you'll take it, final piece, put that on there. So we're close, not quite, but we're real close. So from here, what I'll do is I'll take just take a little bit of tape, do a couple runs around. Again, coming down just a little bit. Now I don't do it super tight. I want the glue to do its job. So you just need it tight enough to hold it on there. And this is just in preparation for the stabbing tip. So it doesn't have to be anything fancy. Normally on these flats, I don't torque wrap it, just because it's unnecessary. These things are light enough, and it's a flexible enough foam that you don't need it. So and for the final piece, if I do something in the same vein as maybe my Zodiac Killer, for those of you who don't know, I have a long flat blade that has a Zodiac themed cover on it. I call that the Zodiac Killer. But if I do something in kind of that vein, I'll do maybe one more, depending on the length, just to give it a little bit more hold. So we're almost done. Now we need our tip. Now again, I had already cut these out. Again, they're roughly a ½ inch each, and I went an inch down, so that'll give us our 1.5 inches off the stabbing core. So how I made these, after I cut out my laminates, I just simply measured it, stuck them together, measured it out, and transferred that to just a large piece of camp pad. I cut out 2 of them. Excuse me. So what I'll do, a little bit more glue, just right on the top there. Just give it a little bit of a push. And for the second one, I'm not going to glue here, I'll glue here. So put it on, I smear it around a little bit. I got my stabbing tip. So just grab my tape, this would be where it'd be handy to have an extra set of hands. Sometimes. So just put it on. Taper over. Oop. I'll actually lift this up and kind of pull it down just so it evens out a little bit. Sometimes uneven on each side can kind of pull the tip in one direction or the other. So that way it should sit nice and square. Take that. Cut her off. And we'll do the same going this way. Just to kind of give the tip just a little bit. A little bit of extra something. It's all about that hold. That's what it always comes down to. You want that good hold. So I'll just kind of roll these over a little bit. Now, from here on, you got a couple things you can do. You can trim this guy down to have kind of a tapered, rounded edge. You know what? I think we're going to do that. I think we're going to do that. Now, you can cut it with, again, your razor knife or your Klein branded scissors, because if you use your wife's fabric scissors, she'll
I will murder you.
She'll threaten you. She might take away my alcohol. That wouldn't be no good. So let's use the razor knife, and we'll just do right across, a nice little angle on it. So take it and just boom. Now I kind of eyeballed it from the actual core itself. And you can just follow that around. Should be pretty close. So something like that, look real nice, I think. We'll do the same on the other side. There we are. I think that looks pretty good. What do you guys think? Nice little handle. Cool. So, alright. I actually have my sword in the wrong position for this. So, get that where it needs to be. And what I'll do is I'll tape it going all the way down. Stretch myself out a nice piece, go fairly far back on the core, and I'll just lay it down. And I'll drag it on. Now again, you don't want it to be super, super tight. Just a little bit of tautness. Now see how it's not connected? Just give it a little bit of tautness and pull her down. We'll do on the other side, just so it's nice and even. Do the same thing. Give her just a little bit. Tighten. Put it down, and just grip it. Let it stick to itself. Cut our tape. We're going to do this one more time to the front side, and then we'll do a couple of wraps like we did here. Going down. So again, stretch out our tape, stretchy, stretchy tape. Put it right there. Give her a little bit of a taut. Boom. Back side. Got a little tangled on us, that's okay. Alright. So pretty much from here, once the glue dries, it's got a little bit of a wiggle to it. That's not really going to be a problem once the glue dries. It'll hold on itself, and should be, and I stress should be, good enough to pass most inspections, as long as you did it right. And we're just going to fairly loosely tape it all the way down. Try and overlap as much as you can. Now again, you don't need to torque wrap it. Just enough to kind of hold itself, you know. Now once we get down to the bottom, where we've got a little bit of a bridge, this is the only point that I'll actually torque wrap it. Get a nice tight. That way it forces it down. And it should keep the rest of it nice and tight on there. And just maybe a little bit past. You don't necessarily have to go that far down. Just force of habit, I think, at this point. Stuck in my ways. So, there's your flat. She's a little crooked. That'll happen with the taping of it. But still nice and flat. Got my 2-inch ring, 2.5-inch ring. Doesn't fit through. Like, force it through, but rules say it has to fall down on its own. At least that's what a future neck told me once. So, probably going to want to know how to do a pommel. I can show you the way I do it. It's not the best way, but it's my way, and I like it because, again, creature habit. What I'll do, I'll take that same 2.5-inch ring. This I bought at Tandy Leather. It's about $2-3. Very, very worth it. I love this thing. I once gave one to a friend of mine who promptly lost it. So I have to shout him out here because I vowed to never let him forget. And so what I'll do is I'll just take it and I will trace the inside. Have roughly 2.5-inch. And again, take your Klein branded not fabric scissors. You don't want your wife to leave you. And you'll just cut her on out. You can use a razor knife if you wish. I find it easier to use the scissors. You know, you at home, you do whatever's most comfortable for you. I am not gonna say anything negative. So, the next part. This is, if you guys were around when I did my my Omni blade. This is actually the base of the Omni blade. It's a 1/2-inch PVC or 1/2-inch pipe insulation. You can get that at Home Depot is where I bought this. If you can find the pink stuff, it tends to last quite a bit longer. I had a sword go almost 4 years with the pink, or it was actually more of a peach, and that stuff lasted quite a while. This stuff isn't bad. It just tends to cheese out a little bit faster, which, I mean, that's the worst thing in the world. Based on the cost of it, it doesn't cost much. So what I'll do, I'll just kind of eyeball it, cut her down. You know what? That's a little too short. Let's go a little bit bigger. Yeah, right there works. So I got my pipe insulation. You know what? Let's tape this up. Be consistent in how we're doing it. Now, if you want to get technical, the best way, really the best way to do a pommel is to use craft foam. Craft foam, it's much more solid. It's not as squishy, and it tends to last longer. Especially if you power grip your pommel, it is far superior than the way I do it. This is just the way I've done it, and again, stuck in my ways. Ooh, shouldn't be like that, but it is what it is. I'm going to cut myself a little square. Take that, shove it right in. Do that one more time. Get that little extra buffer. So shove that in the backside. Put that on the end. And usually from here, what I'll do is, where did I put that piece? There it is. This guy. Before I do any real gluing. bit of glue sprayed on there. Get it on there nice and good. Now, how we're going to do this is going to sit on there like that, and we're going to do the same thing we did before. We're going to do a little different. Got it in my portable vise, aka my legs. I just tape down. Now the glue does make it a little slick, as you can see. Uh-oh. There we go. Do that on both sides. Like I said, I'm not the best at pommels, but I do what I can. So we're a little on the loose side. I'll show you how we fix that. What?
You photobombed Raleigh getting the board.
Yes, I did. So that's our pommel. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a 2-inch ring, but I bet it's 2 inches. Like I said, not the best, but it works. So, seems like we're done, right? Well, unfortunately, we are not. The most critical part about a flat blade is the handle. Because if you have this pixie stick handle, it could turn on you, you can end up paddling someone. So, what I've done in the past and what I like is I've literally just added a pencil right there. Cut it at the end so it's flat, and I'll put it there, tape it on there, and call her a day. I've had a lot of complaints. It seems that I'm the only person that likes it like that. And that's fine. That's fine. There are better ways, and I've talking to a few people. I've picked up a few tricks, and one of the ways is using rope. So what you'll do is you'll end up taking this rope, folding it over 3 times. And you'll place it on the end. So let me take my scissors, cut it, and you're going to tape it so that the rope lays on your striking edge. And you're going to do that on both sides. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab some tape, and just, piece of tape, hold her on there, maybe run it up a little bit. I've never really been good at this part, and I've never really get it as straight as I like. Then again, I've only done this with a couple of my weapons, so there's always room for improvement. It's always a good thing. So got one little piece of tape there. We'll do the one to the other side. You know what? Before we do that, we'll get the other side wrapped up. Three times. 3. I started singing a song. I almost sang it wrong. Bad enough that I sing poorly. Alright. So, we got our next piece. We're going to lay that on the opposite side. Again, doing the same thing. I made this one a little bit longer, but that's okay. So I've never ran the tape all the way down. You can. I don't see why you couldn't. You know what? Let's dare to be different. Let's do that. Let's run her down. Be experimental. Just make sure that it's nice and straight. Run that all the way down. And I do get over there. Set malfunction. I do realize that they are a bit longer. We are gonna handle that. We're gonna trim them down later, give them a haircut, so to speak. Now, whenever I build weapons, I always build for me, because I'm usually the one using them. Now, not every the ultralight isn't for everyone. I understand that. That's not a problem. But I have had many people come up to me and ask me, "It's like, hey, can you teach me this? Can you show us how to do this?" And I'm always more than happy. Give her a little haircut there. Just won't do. Always happy to share what I know. And I suppose if you want, you could always do it to length, burn it, go through all that. You can. I don't want to, to be completely honest. Because by the time this is all done, it's all going to be wrapped up anyway. However, this end I will burn. And you can start it from either end. Depends on how you want to do it. If the cover that you choose to do is just a sock or some sort of sleeve, and you just tape it down, you can start at the bottom and just wrap up. That way, the tape for your cover also holds this. I'm going to start it from the top and work my way down. Just take it, lay it right there. Kind of see that, how I have the end of it. And I'm going to use the rope itself to kind of hold itself into place. See how I can see that very well. There we are. Kind of looks like a knot, but it's really just wrapping over itself. And I'm just going to wrap that all the way down. And if you go all the way down, it'll actually kind of push itself. So when you move it, it should all stay in place. And I'll pull it real tight as I spin it all the way down. Just keep going. It does use a lot of paracord, but it does look and feel real nice. There's also there are other ways you can do it. You could use a single thicker rope and maybe use a smaller paracord, something, run it all the way down, give you the basic same desired effect, the kind of oval shape. Let your hand know where your position is. There's a few ways you can do it. Heck, even when you're done with this, you could get a nice flat piece of cloth and do the traditional like katana wrap where it's got the diamonds in it. I've seen quite a few people do that, and it looks really nice when it's done well. I haven't attempted it myself; it's not my style, but it looks really good when it's done right. You can just keep going all the way down. And you'll know when you're doing it right because it'll all kind of form together. It'll kind of match itself. You can see down here where it kind of spirals off. That's where maybe I wasn't pulling it as tight as I should have. But once you get a good flow, it should all start to match up. So I just learned that by kind of by playing with it. Run her all the way down. Now we're on our last one. We're about to hit the pommel. So what I'll do is I'll go up just a little bit. Here's where it gets a little tricky. With my thumb, I'm going to hold it. Cut her down. Alright. So she is cut, and I'm going to go ahead and burn it. Baby, would you mind grabbing me some electrical tape, please?
What color?
It doesn't matter. If there's a red in there, I'll take that. Alright, get her burned up. Oh man, I am not good at burning today. Alright, thank you. My lovely wife bringing me some electrical tape. Alright, so unspool it just a hair. I'm going to take it, feed it under itself, pull it nice and tight. Actually, I done goofed. I'm supposed to wrap it twice. There we are. Now if you can see that, where I've got my first wrap, I'm going to feed it right on through. There we go. Now we pull it nice and tight. So, there, and what I'll do, normally I'll just wrap it around and take a little bit of tape and wrap her around, my handy red tape. It's like black tape but red. And now what Gorg does on a lot of his weapons is he will do a rope handle and then tape it up with regular grip tape. And that is always a possibility. You can absolutely do that. See, there we go. So you can definitely see that it has more of an oblong shape to it. So when you're holding that, you're definitely going to know when you're holding the flat and when you're holding the paddle. So that's how you do it. That's how we make a flat-bladed sword. Does anyone have any questions while I'm here and doing stuff? Fantastic. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Maybe next week I'll have something else for you guys, but
Maybe maybe we'll get another Cooking with Astra.
Until then, live long and lay on. Good night, guys.